All right, everybody, why don't we get started? Hopefully you can hear me now as well. Wanted to let you know that there is a little bit of a lag between when I talk and you guys hear me. So if you have comments and questions, things like that, don't think I'm ignoring you completely. I will get to it. There is the live chat in the YouTube page. You have to sign into YouTube in order to do that, but then you can send messages that way. You see my email here, and you can also, I would say those be the two ways to communicate right now because, it's hard to follow everything. But we should be good to go. All right, let's get started. So today we're going to talk about the Sena Bluetooth devices. With that, we're just going to talk about Sena and the helmets. We're not going to go into the total, connecting them to the bike, things like that. But I will go over some of that information. So let's go over our topics here. We've got just regular Sena headsets versus the Harley-Davidson branded Sena headsets. What's the differences and why you might need one over the other. We've got the Sena model differences. There's 10Ss, 20Ss, 30Ks. Give me 1 second here. I want to make sure that everything's working for me. Yep, okay, it is. Come on, forgive me, this is my first time doing this. We've got the Bluetooth intercom, which is the connectivity between your headsets to communicate. Then with the new 30Ks, we've got a mesh intercom. We're going to talk about doing some firmware updates. Actually, my headsets need some firmware, so I will go over that. And then there's some questions that have been sent in to me already. And then if you have any questions throughout this that you can get to me that you might want answered, I'll go over those as well. So let's get going here. Sena versus Harley-Davidson branded Senas. The main difference here is if you want to connect your Harley-Davidson or your Sena to your Harley-Davidson motorcycle with the Boom infotainment system, that is the 2014 to 2018 GT version, or the 2019 and newer GTS version. Now, this does mean that you have to have the wireless headset interface module installed in your bike, the WIM as everybody calls it, in order to do that. In order to get full features and functionality, you need the Harley-Davidson branded ones. People have reported that they can get the non-Harley ones to work, but you only get like mono sound, so it only comes out of one speaker. And you don't get all the reporting features on your Boom infotainment system, battery life, things like that about your Sena devices. For 13 and older motorcycles, you can use Bluetooth with those by using a Sena device called FreeWire. This plugs into your 7-pin connector, headset connector on your motorcycle, so that way you can be wireless between that and your headset. This would allow you then to connect to other riders in your group that might have Senas, so that way you can do Bluetooth intercom or mesh technology depending on your model. The gotcha with this is you can still use it on the 14 and newers. However, you need one FreeWire per headset that you want to connect to your motorcycle. So if you are a rider and a passenger and you want to connect both headsets to the motorcycle, you need 2 FreeWires connected to each of the 7 pins on your intercom system. Those are the things on that. Sena model differences, I can go through these, but we would need pretty much the whole day to talk about them. The differences between the 10Ss, the 20S Evos, 30Ks, and actually I just was doing some research here the other day and saw that Sena's coming out with some 50s. Has some newer technologies in it. Don't know a whole lot about those, but I thought I would let you know that they are coming. Keep in mind, this differences other than connecting them to your motorcycle, they're the same. So a Sena versus a Harley branded Sena, it's the same features and functionalities other than connecting it to your motorcycle, you need the Harley Davidson branded ones. Bluetooth intercom. So depending on which version of headset you have, 10S, 20S, 30K, depends on how many headsets you can connect in a Bluetooth intercom connectivity. So this is between headset to headset. This is handy for when you're doing a riding with your wife or something like that, and you're both on different bikes. You could use these connectivities to communicate with each other. Even rider passenger, if you're on a bike like a special, a Street Glide, Road Glide Special that doesn't have the 7-pin hookups, you could put the WIM in there and have dual headsets. On that real quick, if you put the WIM in your motorcycle, that allows you to connect two Bluetooth headsets to your motorcycle, a rider and a passenger. So you don't need two WIMs or anything like that, just one WIM for the motorcycle. 10Ss allow 3 people to join. I can't remember if it's total of 4, or 3. Sorry, there's just so much information here. I will provide links to all of this stuff, to the Sena websites for each of these models, to look up anything on your specific model that you might want to look up at the end, and I will email those out. 20Ss, you've got 4, including the person. You can go up to 8 on a 20S Evo if you add that one option, and then 30Ks, it's 4. The reason the 30Ks aren't as good when it comes to the Bluetooth is they're more for the mesh, but you can still use Bluetooth intercom on the 30Ks. So they all have that Bluetooth intercom option. Now I'm going to switch over to something real quick. Hopefully this works well. So I've got 4 headsets right here. 2 30Ks, 2 20Ss. Now these are Harley Davidson branded, another 30Ks in black. Non-Harley Davidson Senas are the 20s. I've had these for 5 years or so. So you want to go to an intercom connectivity. You've got 4 people in your ride that you want to talk to. What you do is you put headset 1 here. You hold the jog dial button down, and it'll go into Bluetooth pairing mode. Intercom pairing. Sorry, couldn't remember the terminology there. You'll put this guy into intercom pairing, and then on either one of these, once they're both in pairing mode, you just hit the jog dial button on them. Then they'll talk to each other. Boom. A and B are connected. You can connect A to all of them directly, so everybody's just talking to A, but they can't hear each other. This is helpful in a instructor-led type of thing where your instructor is talking and giving instructions to these people, these other riders. Or you can have them all connected in a chain, and then everybody can talk to everybody. You connect A to B, B to C, C to D. So at this point, the connectivity is actually between C and D. And you just got to go back and hit the jog dial button on B, then he'll connect back to C, and then A will connect back, then you've got the chain. There's a nice Sena video. I can't show these videos or I'll get taken down from YouTube. Tested that and found out it happens. That you can go through, it'll show you all of this kind of good stuff. And please let me know if you have any questions. So that's, the Bluetooth intercom connectivities. It's very similar to each model on how you connect to them. Each model might be a little bit different on the jog, connecting using just pushing in the jog dial button. The phone button's right here. You've got on the 30s, you've got the mesh intercom buttons right here behind the antenna. And then this is your volume. Volume up is back. When it's on your motorcycle, the front of your helmet's over here. So volume up, volume down. Same on the 20s. Okay, let's go back to our PowerPoint. Crap, I was just showing you stuff and I didn't cut it over. Dang it! See, I'm new at this. This is what I was supposed to be showing you. Duh. Okay. Headset A, B, C, D. I meant to label them, but I forgot. So if you're in an intercom connectivity and you have 4 riders in your group that you want to talk to, you can set it so that this guy, being, say, your ride leader, is giving instructions to other people in your group. You can connect all these 3 directly to this guy. So that way, only he can speak to these 3 can speak to him, but they can't speak to each other. Or you can connect them all together in a chain, and then they can talk to each other. Everybody in the group can talk. I've been asked a lot of questions about quality. The more you have, the worse quality it is. I've not been able to determine if it's because, it's 4 versus 2 versus 8. The 8, yes, but it also has to do with the microphones that people are using. Whether or not it's getting direct wind, things like that will cause noise. So if somebody's riding in a full-faced helmet, closed, you're not going to have as much interference and noise as you would in somebody who's riding with a half helmet with the mic exposed, getting some of that wind. I have noticed a lot that wind, the radio on your motorcycle can, if you have it cranked up, you'll hear that. When you're in an intercom connectivity, Bluetooth intercom connectivity, it is an always open channel. So while you're riding in that group, it is always open and you can hear each other. You like how you can see my hand in 2 different videos. So say you want to connect them in a straight line so everybody can talk. You connect A here to B, B to C, C to D. Now this is in line of front of the route, back of the ride, the group. In a Bluetooth intercom, they need to be in a straight line. So from front of the group to the back of the group. If C and D change, that can mess up communications between C and A or B. So you connect A, B, C, D in that order. At this point, C and D are connected. What you do is you come back to B and you hit the jog dial button. Now C, B, C, and D are connected in that line. Then you come back to A and you hit the connection, A to B, B to C, C to D. There'll be videos, as I mentioned, in these that I will send out. But let's get back to the PowerPoint, and I'll make sure I cut it over this time. You've got some information here. You've got, different ways to pair. The 20S Evo can actually either be joined through holding down the jog dial button on the side or shaking them at the same time and then hitting the jog dial button. Pairing can be a trial and error thing, so sometimes you have to keep trying to get them to pair, but eventually you'll get them to. It is a last come first serve. So what that means is if you connect A to B, C, and D, all connected to A. Hold on, I just got a message from somebody, so we will, it's whichever one's connected last to A will actually be the one that's the first connection. And I will send this PowerPoint presentation out to you guys. So what's the range of a Bluetooth intercom? It's actually about 1 mile from front to back. That doesn't, so if the ride leader and your sweep are actually the only ones in the intercom, Actually, it's less than that. Found out last year when I was riding out to Camp Quality. Brock was leading, I was sweeping. Him and I cut out quite a lot because that was a good sized group. I got your message, David. I'll get to it. The range is about the same in the three models. It's about a mile for the Bluetooth intercom. It's the technology, not the models, that set the difference in the range. Bluetooth intercom range isn't the greatest. So when Brian and I were on that, we cut out quite a bit. Now, had we had somebody in the middle that might have been in there, it could have helped us out a lot to keep the connectivity. I would have been talking to, so there would have been three of us, say, A, B, and C. A is ride leader, C is the sweep, and B is in the middle. A would have been connected to B, B would have been connected to C. Probably would have worked out a lot better for us. Now there's another type of intercom connections called mesh. So a mesh intercom actually is think of it as a spider web of connectivity between these headsets. Each headset can connect up to, I think about 3 or so it connects to in this mesh, depending on how many headsets are in the mesh. And it's self-healing. So if you have 4 or up to 16, say, headsets, if one person drops out, doesn't matter where they are in the route, the connectivity will not be lost between everybody. If you're in a Bluetooth connectivity and you have A, B, and C, and all of a sudden B is gone, A and C can no longer talk to each other because B was their connection to, between each other. So there are some, gotchas on that. Now, Mesh Intercom has 3 different modes. By default, when you turn on Mesh, it goes into a public mode. Within public means anybody that's in public mode around you will join that conversation. There's no creator, there's no person that controls a public mode. It's just public. Think of it as like a CB channel. Anybody can go in there and talk. Private mode means one user creates the private mesh channel, and this mesh channel then can have up to 16 participants. Well, 15 more participants. Then, if somebody wants to join, if they're in range of that private channel, they will, tap the, mesh button twice on their headset, which is that one at the top by the antenna. And this is only for 30Ks. 20Ks don't have mesh. They'll be prompted to join. Again, there's videos on this that I'm going to post. Now, if you were in a private mesh in your group, you can have then obviously 16 participants, including the creator. If that creator for any reason leaves, the mesh will still function, but nobody else can join the mesh without recreating the private mesh again. So, that's one of the gotchas. If you have a private mesh, say you set this up for your ride leader, your sweep, and maybe somebody in the middle, if you're large enough to report on anything that's going on in the middle of the group. You've got those 3 people doing the private chat. You can have anybody else in that group join in as a guest so they can hear what's going on between the ride captains, leaders of that group and the sweeps, but they can't actually, chime in. This helps to make sure that communications between, your ride leader and your sweep are clear and not interrupted. Now, in either public or private mesh, you can only have 6 people talk at any one time. A public mesh is about a 1-mile range. A private mesh can be up to 5 miles. Don't ask me why that's different. I haven't found out good information on that, but That's the way it is. If you are creating a private mesh, in order to have guests, you have to set that up ahead of time, either through the phone app or updating it through the software on your computer, enabling guest access. It's not something you can enable after the fact. So that's some mesh technologies. I'm still playing around with the mesh a little bit myself. It seems to be a little bit better, and I have done some testing because it's a little bit better when it comes to the communications. Say you have a non-Harley 20S or 10S or even some other brand of Bluetooth headset in your helmet. Sena does make a mesh adapter that you could have like mounted to your handlebars, that your headset would connect to that, and then that would connect to your mesh. It does allow you to connect in. That saves you from having to buy all brand new headsets if you're not ready to do that. Software updates. So depending on which headset you have, obviously on the right is the non-Harley ones, just the straight Sena software, and the one on the left is Harley. If you have the Harley branded headsets, you have to use the Harley app to do the updates. This app also works for updating the WIM on your motorcycle, so that does require updates as well. And then any of the Harley versions. There's quite a few Harley headsets out there. 20S Evo, 30, 10. They have one that has built into the helmet, and then Sena for all the non-Harley ones. I will show an update. As I said, I have updates that I need to do, so we'll go through that. Not ready for the questions yet. So let's switch over to go through some of these updates. And then I'll get into a lot of these questions. And then I'm going to show you some websites and things like that that I've used for these questions. So here's my desktop. Say hi to Yoda. All right, I'm going to start off with the Harley ones. So I'm going to launch the Harley one. Right now my headset is not connected to my computer. Real quick, it's fairly easy to hook up your headset. Just open the little port here at the bottom, plug in the USB cable that came with the headset or any other micro USB cable. You'll see a little red light here. You can't really see it on the camera. And now I can click on next. It tells you make sure it's powered off. Does the headsets 20S, 30K, NO2. That's the one that's built into the helmet. Sorry, I couldn't remember which version it was. Or the WIM. I'm going to hit next. It'll tell me I've got an update for this headset. At least I hope it does. Yay! So it tells you your current version and the new version. So I'm just going to hit, and obviously your voice prompts. And I'm going to hit yes. It'll download. Should download pretty quick here. So David, I hope that answered your questions on the difference in range. If I missed something, let me know. So the 10Ss and the 20Ss are about a mile, and the 30Ks are a mile in Bluetooth. The mesh you actually get better range on. Now, when I say a mile, that is like flat Kansas, straight line. Hills, trees, all that kind of stuff will interfere. No different than CBs when it comes to that kind of stuff. All right. Just check and see if anybody's messaged me while we're waiting for this. I thought it would go quicker, but it probably doesn't help the fact that I'm streaming this. So while that's downloading, let's show some websites since we're on the same screen. On our socials, on our rubbercityhog.com website, under social media, I put a link to the YouTube channel where this video will be posted later on. Any other videos that I might create for some of this stuff. I just wanted to show you that real quick where the stuff's going to be after the fact. So that way, if you're like, oh, I can't find that email or something like that, just go to our website, click on social media and YouTube channel. Boom, there it is. So let's talk about where do I get the software to do these updates. From, if it's a Sena branded one, you go to Sena.com, support software. Again, the link will be sent out to you. Download the version for which version of Windows you have. Most newer versions of Windows are Windows 64-bit, but if you are questioning anything, go with the 32. There's different apps for your phones, for which headset you have, for the different functionalities. So download your app, go through some of those good settings. If you're a Harley branded headset, you got to go to oem.sena.com/Harley-Davidson. Download the correct version, 32, 64, even Mac. And then there's user documents down at the bottom for depending on which version you have. So if you have any questions on that, I find these actually are pretty good when I go back and like, oh, how do I pair this? How do I turn this functionality on, do different things? I always look at these manuals. I heard a doot doot doot, so still doing it. Okay. So that's where you get the softwares from. There's a Sena YouTube channel that has a lot of nice videos. I cannot play these because we'll get shut down. There's Sena Technologies Help Desk, has a lot of different things. For the 20S, you've got the 30Ks. Just community.sena.com and search for what you're looking for, which model. Again, all these links will be sent out to you. Sena, depending on which model you have, here's the 10S, product page. You can see the specs. Here's their frequently asked questions. It has some good documentation on how to pair with other headsets. Different things like that. This I use a lot. 20S Evos. I want to show you the 30K. The support one for the 30K because it talks about mesh intercom. So you've got public, private. So let's, shows you how to turn on your mesh. Just a quick touch of the top button, the mesh button, turns it on and turns it off. Private mode. Whoops, sorry. Talks about how to create the mesh, joining the mesh, searching for mesh, different things like that, or accepting. So a lot of good information on their website. And then talking about guest mode. Again, the 30K can do both Bluetooth intercom pairing as the 10S and the 20S, but has the added mesh. And here's that new 50S that is coming soon. So if you don't have headsets yet, and you're not maybe planning to buy until end of summer or something along those lines, keep an eye out on this because it may be worth the extra money for the 50S because it has a newer mesh technology called Mesh 2.0. Better Bluetooth for its low energy, better connectivity. It actually will do voice activated assistants like Hey Siri, Hey Google, things like that. And luckily, not all my devices just went off. Charges faster, and built-in firmware updates via Wi-Fi. Means you don't have to plug it in like we're doing right now. You just plug it into power, it'll update. Similar to that dock you can get that I've heard horrible reviews on, so I have not bought that. I'll just plug it in and be good to go. Sorry, I have this alarm that I can't figure out how to turn off. So it goes off every day at 12. Where are we at on our update? Hey, all right. So it's been downloaded. And I'm just going to hit next. I can go through, change any of the settings. Oh. Bluetooth intercom audio multitasking. So I was asked earlier, this allows you to have a intercom conversation while listening to music. Means like if you're listening to music on your headset and then somebody that you're connected to within Mesh or Bluetooth, actually, sorry, this one's Bluetooth, goes and talks, it'll switch over and make your conversation priority and reduce the volume of the music. And then once it stops, it goes back. So Lori, take a look at that. You may need to hook it up and make sure that is turned on. I think it is not by default because I don't remember ever changing that. Different settings here. You've got, Harley, the hot HD. You'd think Harley Davidson, but it's actually high definition, better quality. There's a ton of different settings in here. You'll want to play with them to see which ones work best for you and your situations. And then you've got even more. You've got speed dials that you could set, things like that. So now, as you can see up here at the top, mine's updated to 2.0 on this one. So I'm going to go back, back to the beginning. I'm going to close this one out. Let's look at the non-Harley one. It's funny, the stuff looks exactly the same. So again, switch over to my overhead. Just taken it, opened up the little USB charging port here at the back, plugged it in. Computer's detected it because I heard the beeps. You guys might not have heard it. Hit next, another update. So I'll just hit yes and let that one run through while we're doing some stuff. Sorry if you hear noise in the background. All right, so let's talk about these headsets. While that's doing that, I'm going to switch back to my overhead. So here's the module that gets mounted to the headset. Make sure when you're putting the microphone on that the piece that's open is pointing towards your mouth. You can't see this usually because you have this on it, but I made that oops one time. For some reason my headset was switched around. Made it hard for people to hear me. So just to let you know on that. Same mount here can be used for Harley Davidson branded and non-Harley Davidson branded. Same one. So say you have multiple helmets and you like to switch it around, depending on weather, things like that, and you bought the Harley ones, and you don't want to keep taking this off all the time. You can get these online, $70 or so. That way you've got a spare on your other helmet. You just slide them on there, good to go. Turn them on. You hold this jog dial and the phone button on at the same time. You'll hear the Harley one say preparing headsets. The non-Harley one says like hello, all this kind of good stuff. Hello. Waiting for it. There it is. Phone connected. It's connected to Andrea's phone right now. So she could, in theory, I borrowed her phone. Oh, hopefully y'all didn't see that. Apparently my computer heard the something. Oh man, she closed out of the music. So music's going on here. Crap, can't play that, can't play that. I'll get shut down. Keep forgetting about that. YouTube's good at that. So hopefully they don't, shut down my stream for that. If my helmet was on and she was listening to music and I started talking, I tested this earlier before the video since I can't do it on the video. She would hear me. Her music would go quiet, and then if I stop talking, her music then comes back up. So just make sure that multi yeah, I showed you the thing. Totally drawn a blank on that. So much information here. So by default right now, this light is blinking blue. This means it's in Bluetooth intercom mode. So if there was another headset that had been connected together, they would be they would be in Bluetooth intercom mode. To initiate that, you just hit this and it'll say, start searching for anybody that's been paired with. It's going to come back and actually say failed here in a minute because I don't have it paired with anybody. Intercom failed. So what you do to turn on the mesh, you just hit the little mesh button on here at the top. Mesh intercom on, and because I set these up to talk in a mesh mode, they by default go straight to private mode. But if I hadn't done that, it would be in public mode. What you can do, you can mute the microphone. So that way they don't hear everything that you're talking about. You hold this down for about 2 seconds. 1, 2. Mic off. And say, "Oop, I want to talk now." You just hold it down again. 1, 2. Mic on. It does help but you would still hear. So it doesn't shut off the audio. That would help with background noise, things like that. It's like muting your phone if you're on a conference call and you don't need to be talking. Mute your phone so that way they don't pick up all your background noise. And then you would just hit this once again to get out of mesh mode. Mesh intercom off. So that's some of the setup. Hooks up the same. This little antenna, pops up and down. I recommend if you're going to use it, just get on the bike, pop this guy up, and leave it up because you want to be able to get to that button easily if you need to. Sorry, not on the video that well. You want to be able to get to that button if you need to. The phone button back here on any of them, the 20Ss or the 30Ks, would allow you to say a command, things like that. I actually just kicked off Siri on her phone so she could do something. Let's just pop it up saying, Siri, hello, how are you?
Hello, how's it going?
And then, you could do stuff. All right, stop. Be careful how many different devices, headsets, and things like that you connect to a single device. Try to keep it to a 2 to 3, like your bike, and then if you have the Boom Infotainment System or your phone, and then connectivity to Bluetooth to the other stuff. When I first got these, I had it hooked up to the bike, I had it hooked up to my cell phone, and then I had tried to do intercom stuff. It was just too much connected to it. So keep an eye on that. Oh, my update finished on the other screen here. So the non-Harley branded one now is updated to 201. Hit next. I can change some settings. Audio multitasking. I don't know why I forgot about that. It is turned on for my 20s. And then that's the software update. I want to talk about this too. With these 20Ss that I've had for 5 years, the battery life was starting to go on them. Sena doesn't sell you the batteries directly to update them. So what you can do is go Amazon, eBay, wherever, and you can find these little batteries to, open them up and put them in there. Normally you have to solder them. You might be able to find ones. I did find some that you could also just had the right end on it. This was a new battery and went bad on me. So this one doesn't work right now, but I don't really use them. All right, let's get into some of these questions that people have. I know we're getting near our hour and people want to get out there. It's a nice day out. In the mid 50s right now. Let's go back to my PowerPoint. All right. So what happens to the sound quality is the more riders are added to the group. Again, it depends on their mics, depends on the exposure that they have with their microphone. There's different types of microphones you could use. These are the better ones with the little foam thing to cut out the sound, wind, noise, things like that. But it just depends on those kinds of things. What happens to the sound? Wow, I put the same question in there twice. All right, moving on to the next one. What is the sound quality using mesh? I haven't used mesh a whole lot. I'm still playing around with that. I got these right before the season ended last year, so I didn't really get much riding with them. Excuse me. So actually, I'm set up to go out there today. So what I can do is post a video later on the review of that. But from my testing of helmets, it seems to go okay. But again, there's no motorcycle noise, wind noise, things like that. No, does using the 30K with the 20Ss, if you're in Bluetooth mode, affect the quality? It's the same quality because you're in Bluetooth mode. So you're got the same limitations. Even if you were going 20S to 20S or 30K to 30K in a Bluetooth mode, they're about the same. All right, and we talked about the Harley specific Senas versus the non-Harley ones and why you might need those. Now, another thing I want to talk about that as well. Today, if you're riding a Fat Boy or something that doesn't have the boom infotainment system, and you're looking at getting Sena headsets, if there's a chance in the near future, a couple of years at most, which one do you go with, the non-Harley or the Harley? You're going to save money going with the non-Harleys, but if you within a year or two decide, oh, I want to get an ultra limited, a CVO, something with the boom infotainment system in it, and you want Bluetooth connectivity, you just screwed yourself. Because now you've got headsets that you won't get the full functionality with if you connect it to your bike. So I know you're paying that HD tax, but just think about it. I'm not going to tell you you should do one or the other. I'm just giving you the options. I myself, if I was riding something that didn't have it, I might have opted for the HD versions over the non-HD because there's a potential there that I might need it in the near future or some reason. Get a 20S versus a 30K, if you're looking at that, or the 10S, which one do you go with? Again, obviously from a 10S to a 30K, you're going to pay more money because you got a lot more features and functionalities. But it's preference. My recommendation would be to go with something like the 30K because it has that mesh, so you could work, communicate in the people that might have that mesh. But again, it's your preference. I went over the software updates. I don't have any experience with the Wi-Fi docking station. You have to connect either to your computer, Windows or Mac, or use that docking station in order to do firmware updates. You can't do firmware updates through the phone app. That would be nice if you could, but you can't at this point. And that's why they're going through that Wi-Fi stuff. I was going to go somewhere. Okay. I knew something I forgot to talk about. Say you've got this mesh group set up in your ride, but you've got some people with 20 S's or 10 S's that don't have the mesh technology. They can join the mesh conversation. What you would do, let me go back to my overhead here. Did I shut that off? No, I didn't. All right. So what you would do, you've got these guys in a mesh right here, and you've got these guys that want to join in and talk. So say this rider A is close to rider C. You would pair through Bluetooth connectivity rider C to rider A. So he's connected through Bluetooth, and then he's connected to the mesh. Can talk. This guy can hear the mesh and talk into the mesh. And then you would do the same thing with D to B if they're close together. So that way they're in the mesh and here, can join in, but they don't get the functionalities. If their mesh person leaves, they're now out completely. They can't talk. They'd have to rejoin somebody else. Do not, Senna's been talking about this in any of the videos you watch, connect one of these guys to two guys in the mesh. You'll cause a loop. So it'll just, echo sounds, things like that. So you definitely don't want to do that. I think the kid just burned herself on her lunch. So let's see. What else can we talk about? We got about 14 minutes here. I'm looking through some of my notes. Okay, another thing I forgot to talk about. Say your ride's done and you're in a private mesh. If you quit so in a private mesh, these guys save information about each other. So that way when you connect, start the headsets back up, they can just quickly connect back to the private mesh. If you use this to exit the private mesh, he removes all information. So now when he comes back up, he'll come back up in private mode and then have to rejoin a mesh. So when you quit a mesh, you erase that information. So for like us, the private mesh that I have set up, the only reason I would ever quit that would be if I needed to join another private mesh. You can only join one private mesh at a time. And I've got a bunch of links, a bunch of things that, will show you. Can't think of anything else. Let me take a look here. I think there's a message somewhere. Nope. Okay. Anybody have questions? I know I'm looking the other way because I'm checking things out. Where's my sound? Oh, I muted it. Okay. I didn't get many impromptu questions on this. Those that sent me questions earlier, I hope I got to them. So I'm going to get up to anybody that might be riding with us today. I know we're supposed to stay 6 feet away, so we'll figure something out here, but I can try to assist in any ways if you have these. And we'll go from there. Just checking in, make sure I'm good with any. Amy, I just sent you a text, so let me know if everything's good there, how it went on that part. If I missed something, please reach out to me. Let me go back to my PowerPoint here. So if you need it, there's my email. Shoot me a message. Wish we could have done this in person, but with the event of things going on in the world, at least we were able to handle it this way. I will post this and send out the link. Okay, I guess I'm texting David. If I have to do this again next time, I might try to have somebody run this for me so I can talk and not pay attention to all this stuff. I want to give you guys as much of my focus as I can to give you the right information. I'm not an expert in this by any means. I'm doing the best I can, and I want to get you guys the information that at least I've come across. I do like the Bluetooth connectivities. We've got about 10 minutes here, so I can go over a couple of things with the bikes. Obviously, I'm in my office, so I don't have my bike with me. But if anybody knows, even if you've used the wired headset, that the intercom on the bike between rider and passenger, I don't really care for it myself because finding that sensitivity for that Vox that doesn't always cut out causes a problem, especially when you have a kid on the back singing to the music, just starts cutting out the music. But you need to be able to talk to that, talk to her to make sure everything's okay. That's why I'm going to try this, turning off the intercom built into the bike and using the mesh for the intercom, and then I can still use the bike for everything else. So there are some good things there. I will let you know how that goes through a post of some kind. And I'm trying to think of any other information, but again, just ask any questions. I may not know the answer, but I can help you find the answer. And some of the things that you guys have come across, the gotchas, to see if there's a better way to do this. I appreciate your time today. And then just hopefully we are able to get through this and get out there. I miss riding with y'all. Yeah. It's been a long morning. My throat's a little dry. Hang on. And I'll see everybody out there. I don't see any questions, comments, and thank you. Now I need to figure out how to stop this and save it and upload it. So it probably won't be up there today. It might be up there hopefully this evening or tomorrow. Talk to everybody later. Ride safe. And get out there. It's a nice day.